Okay, welcome to ALG 103 Seller Success. This is part of the Step Ahead for Life series. I'm going to share our screen here and let's go ahead and get going. So I'm going to ask you some questions through this and, through a couple of weeks in this. For you guys, this course is for agents who have been in the business for a while. And I want you to be honest with yourself. If you're a newer agent and you're on here, I want you to take these questions and say, where would I want to be? Where should I be? So the first one, obviously, is one more geared towards agents that have had listings, but what percentage of your business is listings based? I've been in this business for 11 years. Now, remember, I've never sold real estate for a living. I'm a trainer of realtors and a broker and a mentor and all that, but I have sold about 100 homes. I am between the 76 and 99%. If you look at, and of course, if you guys took Step Ahead Boot Camp, you've learned this, that realtors that make $100,000 a year or more, which that number is not as big a number as it was 10 years ago when I started talking about it. It's more like $200,000 a year or more, spend 80% of their time working to get listings, and at least 75% of their business comes from listings. Since I've been in Florida, I'm not going to get an exact count here, I don't think, but I want to say I've sold about 10, 12 houses in Florida, and I've only had 3 buyers. So it's about a quarter of my business. So 75, 76% or 75%, whatever, at least, is what I do. What I would say to you guys is that's where you want to be. You want to be in that 76 to 90, really 75 to 99% range, because we work with sellers, we play with buyers. Remember, buyers are going to fall in your lap from having listings. So your opportunity of where you want to be is your opportunity for more profitability. 27% of sellers recommend their agent 4 or more times since selling their home. 85% of sellers said they would definitely or probably recommend their agent for future services. Top agents make it their goal to get 2 or more closed transactions from each listing by using open houses, farming, social media, and more to generate buyer and seller leads. You should absolutely get 2 or more closed transactions from every listing that you get. Listings are, you heard me say this a long time ago, but listings are the best promotional tool that you can possibly have. And the more listings you have, the more promotion you have going on. It's better than a television ad. It's better than a billboard. It's better than a radio ad. It's better than a Facebook spend or a Google spend. It's absolutely the best thing you can do. And that's why listings are so powerful. And one of the many reasons why we want to have a listings-based business. More stability. Another great reason. Buyers, you are at the mercy of their schedule. Hey, can we go look at that house at 8 o'clock on Sunday night? Now, we now have signed agreements. I actually wrote this right before all those laws went into place. First time, though, ever delivering this one. So welcome, guys. This is the maiden voyage of this training. We do have a signed agreement, but there still is not the locked-in obligation like you have with the seller. You're more in control of your schedule with sellers, right? Yeah, you might have to go to a listing appointment at an odd time because maybe somebody has a weird schedule. That's once, right? Anything else you're going to do there, maybe schedule an open house, this, that, whatever, you can work that around your schedule. A signed listing agreement means a commitment. More scalability. Buyers, assume 2 to 3 hours of showings. I think that's a little bit low, actually. I looked that up and I was like, I read that and I'm like, okay, well, that's what the statistics say. I think it's low. I've had buyers I've been out with for 6, 8, 10 hours. You can maybe work with 2 to 3 buyers in a day and you're going to be exhausted when you're done. Let me tell you something. You go out and show 5 houses, and you're up and down and this and that, and you're driving, you're in and out of the car and all this other stuff. By the time you're done, your head's spinning. You're just like, all right, I'm done. Um, Sellers, assuming systems are in place to manage your listings, which we're going to teach you to do, you can have a significantly large number of listings at once. I had a friend that was a realtor in New Jersey. His minimum number of listings, going back 10 years when listings, when the market was a different way, but he had over 150 listings, and that he was trying to keep that as his minimum number. 150 listings. Just imagine that number, right? Worked by himself. He ended up finally, his son got old enough, got a real estate license. Now his son works with him, but it's the father-son duo managing that type of volume. The reason is listings, once you have them and have them in place, and again, have systems in place, are easy. Even if you have to go to the listing, it's in the same place. I don't know if any of you ever worked with a buyer like this. I had a buyer one time that took me from, was it Largo or Kenneth City, all the way up to Spring Hill. We drove all the way up 19, looking at houses, stopping along the way. And I've had that happen numerous times with people who have come here from out of town that didn't necessarily know where they wanted to live. So I gave them the grand tour of the 4 counties here at, Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, and Hillsborough, so they could just figure out where they wanted to be. You don't need to do any of that with a seller. So seller path to profitability, pre-qualify. This is the steps you want to take, by the way. Pre-qualify them, pre-listing packet, have your listing presentation, market the listing, service the seller, work contract to close, and then, of course, following up with them, having a client that refers you for life. Steve Jobs said, I'm convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs and the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. I believe that. Guys, I've been, this is not a prospecting training per se, but I've been doing some prospecting for, trying to pilot a couple things and getting some appointments for our agents. And there are days where calling, you don't even get anybody to answer a phone. There are other days you call and, you don't get anywhere. And then there's days like today, I made the 3rd call. I made a for sale by owner appointment, and it was easy as pie. It's a matter of just consistently doing it. It's the same thing with working to get listings. It's consistently doing what you need to do to get you there. Be an information gatherer. Get permission to ask questions. Before we meet, I'd like to ask you some questions so I can be best prepared to offer you a great service. Find out what they're committed to. Well, I know you've never heard me say that before. Oh, yeah, that's right. I say it every training 10 times. And then respond to them. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me know, where you feel. When you pre-qualify seller leads, you want to find out their motivation, their ability. What does that mean? Well, are they able to actually do this? Will this work? Experience. Have they sold a house before? Maybe they've only bought the house there and they've never gone through the selling process. What is the property condition? And what are we going to do for the price? So some things that you can ask. Why are you selling? What are you trying to do there? You're trying to find out what it is they're committed to. What's driving their decision, right? We talk about if you're in a listing conversation with them and they're, well, I don't want to sell now. Well, you told me that you wanted to be moved into your new house by Easter. Easter's only a couple months away. We don't have a lot of time. And because I learned what their motivation was and was able to kind of throw that back at them, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's do this. And they signed the agreement. Where are you moving? Maybe you have an opportunity to be a buyer's agent too. For anybody that's ever done the buy sell, what a beautiful, beautiful day that is, man. You can, even on a $400,000 or $500,000 house, you can walk away with $20,000 in a day. It's a great day. How soon do you need to move or to be there? What is their level of urgency? The tighter the timeline, the more valuable the listing, right? I want to be moved in before Easter. I said as an example. Okay, that means we need to boom, 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 chop, chop, and get moving on this. What's the most important to you? Price, timing, and or easy transaction. You've heard me say this in the pricing conversation training, right? Which is more important for you, getting your price or getting moved? Here it is a little bit more dragged out. Is it price, timing, and or an easy transaction? This helps you, if you know this information, when you go to meet with them in that listing conversation, that you can tailor your presentation and be able to give them the facts to help them make the best decision for them, not for you, for them, right? If I want to be moved by Easter, what's the best fact for me? The best fact for me is price this house at a price where it's going to get it under contract pretty quickly and get me to contract close. Number two, ability, we said. How much do you owe on the property? You got to find out. If the house is worth 300 and they owe 400, we got a problem. Now you can do a short sale and there's options, but you want to know about these things ahead of time. How much of the proceeds from this home do you plan to use to purchase your next home? Well, I need to have $50,000 to make this move work. Okay. Now you price the house out. Is that possible? Experience. Have you ever sold a home before? If yeah, this is the 6th time we're moving. You don't need to go into the weeds like you will with somebody no, this is our first time. Find out about their experience with other agents. What was good, what was bad, what can I do better? Now you know their expectations. Property condition. Looking forward to seeing your home. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Again, well, we have an older kitchen. Well, you can customize your presentation. Now maybe you're not going to be in that top range of comps. Maybe you're going to be in the lower range. Are there any upgrades or improvements? Well, that might swing that pendulum back. What's your favorite feature? And again, you want to ask that. Again, we're going to talk about listing conversations next week in boot camp. You want to talk about that certainly in boot camp. You want to get them talking about their favorite features because this opens them up and builds rapport. But we're going to use that here too, even before we've met them, because even if this is an email that you're doing this, right, you're getting them to open up to you, and that's what we want to do. And we know what we want to do to accentuate a tour for buyers that might find that that's the same feature that they love. Price. You have a ballpark of what you were trying to get for the property. Be casual about it. Some people like to play the game like, oh, I want to hear what you have to say first. It's just so ridiculous. If they do that, of course, you can say, oh, well, how much do you owe on the property? And then, of course, go back to the other of, how much money do you need to, from this to buy your next house? Now you can back into a number. Okay, it's a $330,000 house. They owe $250 and they need $50,000. So 330 is actually a good number, or maybe it's not. But either way, you can figure this out and know this before you meet with them face to face. And that's the beauty of doing this pre-qualification. So scheduling the appointment and setting expectations. Number one, look at that first question. What do I teach you guys in script mastery all the time? And I'll stop you mid-sentence. And I always say, I'm not beating you up, but I kind of am. But I watch you guys get better at it because you've gotten used to it. For those of you that do script mastery, which is better for you, 5 o'clock today or 10 o'clock tomorrow? Always use a power of choice. They may ask you to come this afternoon. That means they're really motivated, right? I had a seller on Tuesday. He called me. Unfortunately, I had conflicts. He wanted me there like that day, and he was ready to go. That's good. So talking to them on the phone ahead of time or emailing, however you're going to do this, will help you know how motivated they are. They want you to, if you're at your kid's baseball game and they want you to come over after the game, pretty good chance they want to get out. They want to get moving. Make sure that all decision makers are there. This is a big one. I told the story last week. I had a very young new realtor that went to a listing appointment. She had me go with her just because she was a little bit nervous, and I was happy to do it. And they tried to play the game where, the husband's not here right now, but I can answer all your questions. Tip my hat off to her. She said, nope, absolutely not. I need you both here. There's things about the house that he knows that you don't, and vice versa. Favorite things, blah, blah, blah. It's not a problem. I can reschedule. What day is better for you? Tuesday or Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. 10 or 2. She got them. She ended up getting that listing, by the way. So make sure, aside from yourself, are there any other decision makers? I look forward to meeting you. Please schedule certain times, like an hour or whatever you want to do. I don't like to be more than an hour. Sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't, but make sure that they've set enough time and kind of go through. We're going to tour the home. I'm going to go through your CMA. We're going to go through my marketing plan. Go through that REAL, all the things we're going to do, right? We're going to build rapport with them. We're going to engage them. I mean, you wouldn't tell them you're going to engage them, but you can tell them I'm going to get to know more about you and your property and what you're trying to do. I'm going to advise you of my marketing, about myself, my company. I'm going to advise you about my marketing plan. I'm going to advise you on pricing and what's going on in the market, so we can come up with a good price for the house. So go through all that. And of course, you're not going to tell them. Then I'm going to list it. That's my L, but that they don't need to know that. But you want to tell them, it's going to take that amount of time. How would you like me to send you over some of this information? Find out their preferred communication method. Some people want to talk to you. Some people want to text. Some people want to email. So find out what that is. And then also, do you have any questions for me before I get there? One note that I always say, don't ever talk commission or length of term of the contract on the phone. If they press you, it's very simple. Most realtors will give you a standard answer for what their commission is and for how long a listing is going to be. I don't do that until I see the house, because I build a custom marketing plan for every house that I see. And every house is different. Every house has a different story. Every seller has a different story. So I really need to see the house, and then we can do that. And what you've done is it's product differentiation. Everybody else, they just do cookie cutter. I customize my things. So that's why I need to see the house first. It works every time. Spotlight on your business. How often have you been sending seller leads, your pre-listing packet? I created pre-listing packets back right when we got in this business, and I've created them. You guys have been in trainings. If you've been in those trainings, most everybody that's here has been through those trainings, where I give you a template for a pre-listing packet for buyers and for sellers. The seller one, I believe, is even more important. You need to send it. If you don't check the box, I always send a pre-listing packet. Make a mental note, and from now on, make sure you send a pre-listing packet. Same thing with having a buyer's packet that goes out before you meet with them. So what are you trying to do in it? You have 4 goals. You're going to try to make it efficient, make it informative, make it easy, and make it fast. So gathering tools, these are some of the things that you can do in there. I always put a photo of myself on the front page. If you guys have seen mine before, I do my biography. I do a full biography, any designations I would have, any achievements or awards, community positions, my website. I could put testimonials in there. I could do success metrics, if that makes sense. Then it puts stuff about the brokerage, about the market, right? Just a short overview of the market, which you can do and get those done, written even for you with AI in RPR. Your expectations and their expectations. Very generic, your marketing plan. I always put my 4-step marketing in there. And then about the listing, you can put some of the stuff. I don't put all the rest of that stuff, that paperwork and everything. But I do talk about my custom marketing plan. I mentioned the fact that I've got over 160,000 followers on social media. I talk about open houses. I talk about the fact that I always use a professional photographer. In fact, I have a photographer out right now taking pictures for me. Talk about email blasts, MLS. So all the things that are on that you go in there, you can just very briefly put them there. A couple other questions for you. And again, for you guys that have been in this business for a while, you should be able to do this. But what is your average list to sell ratio? What's interesting about this is it doesn't matter. I mean, the market has a little bit to do with this, right? But of all the listings you take, how many of them actually sell? You really, if you're doing your job right, want to be above 90%. So 9 out of 10 listings that you get should sell. Now, there were times, again, if you went back 10 years ago, especially I was in New Jersey, we were teaching our agents 1 out of 2 because there were 20 houses on every street for sale. I mean, it was, and no buyers. So it was, and there were buyers. It was a tougher time. But really, you want to strive to sell 9 out of 10, and you can do that by having a good plan in place. Most realtors aren't going to be at that number. You will be at that number though if you price correctly, if you market correctly, if you network correctly, you'll get that number. So, number one thing in getting a home sold is making sure it's priced to sell. So what you want to do is make sure that you are understanding the price of the house that you're selling, right? So make sure you know the property details, identify them, all the features and all the everything. Search and select. Try to go as close as you possibly can. In Florida, most people live in developments. Don't try not to go outside the development. Try to do it within sales in the last 6 months if you can. 90 days is even better. Only use square footage that's with about 20% more or less than the property that's there. Try to do room counts that are the same. It's very hard to use a 3-bedroom and compare it to a 4-bedroom. There are times where we have to do this, but if we don't, we're going to be much more accurate. So I'm just taking the 4 bedrooms because I'm selling a 4-bed, right? Also, we talk about our proprietary marketing strategy. And if you guys, I think Mackenzie's had this video made, but Jackie, you'll have to get this video made for you when I see you again. We want to show them what houses have sold. We want to show them what houses are active. We also, though, want to show them any houses that expired. Okay? Because what are we trying to prove here? Houses that sold, we know that your house will sell for this price because that's what that one sold for. The ones that are active, what do we know? They may sell, they may not sell. They might be priced too high. Ones that expired, we know they are overpriced, and that's why they didn't sell. And it tells a story to getting your price correctly. You also want to show pendings. What are the price range of the pendings? So here you can see a sample. Of creating what property would be. Here's another page of it. And determining a price range. So you can see the comps here. You can see they also put the price, original list, and all those types of things. One of the things that is really important, and again, I know most of you know this, I just real quickly, is what is the square foot price? That tells a biggest story of anything going. How much per square foot? And that's one of the things that you want to be talking to your clients about. We teach this in the pricing strategy. Remember, we always want price to become a math equation, not a emotional equation. And one way to do that is by speaking in square feet. Homes in your neighborhood sell for $158 a square foot. You have 2,000 square feet. 158 times 2,000, boom, there's your price. Okay. So let me ask you this. How many signed listing agreements have you gotten in the last 30 days? I want to meet, I like the guy that gets 5+. We actually have a couple people here that are in that 3-5 category, which is absolutely awesome. And that's where I want all of you to be. So go ahead and just take a personal assessment there. Another one, on average, how many listing appointments do you need to result in a signed listing agreement? These numbers are completely skewed. Let me give you guys a couple statistics. First of all, according to the National Association of Realtors, 74% of people selling a house only interview one realtor. So when you walk in the door, you have a 3 out of 4 chance of getting a listing. Now, of course, if you are complete, you go in scatterbrain, not knowing whatever and whatever, your numbers are going to be less than that, of course. They might say, oh, wait a minute, we're not using this person, even though they had planned to when you walked in the door. That's why we teach the listing conversation. That's why we have you come into the office and pretend like it's an office and have you give a tour and do all the things that we would do in that to get you comfortable with that REAL that we talked about, that acronym that we talked about earlier. I have 2 agents that I worked with in New Jersey, worked in my brokerage, that have streaks going back. One has a streak going back to believe now to 2011, and the other one I think was 2014 or 13, 14, where they have not been on a listing appointment where they didn't walk out with the listing. Now, the one guy will tell you, quite honestly, he cherry picked some of his listings. If he thinks one's going to be difficult, he might send somebody else out, whatever. But it's still an incredible, incredible number for both of them. So what I would tell you is that's why we need to practice and practice, practice, and be strong and learn the concepts we're teaching here, because you should be able to go out and get at least 9 out of 10, if not 19 out of 20. And if you're not there right now, let's work on that together. All right, so the end game, the natural progression to a signed listing agreement. Number 1 is ask for the tour. When you get to the house, again, right? What do we talk about? Rapport. How do we build rapport? We walk through the house. We make sure that both parties, if it's a husband and wife, go on the tour. A lot of people, let my wife take on the tour. Oh, my husband will take on the tour. No, I want you both there. You both have different expertise of the house, different things that you probably find that you like or maybe dislike. And I really want you to both go on the tour. And they will when you say it that way. So now you're on the tour. Maybe the wife's doing all the talking, husband isn't saying a word. Maybe he's giving you daggers. Maybe he doesn't like you, whatever. Just because one's really talkative doesn't mean the other one's on board. So what I want you to do is I want you to ask a direct question if one of them is not participating. The other thing is use this time to build rapport and get to know the clients. Find out things like, what are their favorite parts of the house? Where would you say you're moving to again? When do you want to be there? I wouldn't get into the price thing here like it says in the sample dialogue, but you could. Go with what feels natural. Guys, any scripts that are here, you see this is down here, sample scripts are not intended to be used verbatim. Conversations need to flow. This is a listing conversation, not presentation. Remember that. Okay. Allow the seller to dictate the starting point. I've taught you before. We usually want to go in and set our books down or whatever we have with us on their kitchen table. We want to start there and end there. And the reason for that is it's a comfortable place in the house. But again, if this is just a little different theory. You can let the seller dictate the starting point. Oh, let me start by showing you blah, blah, blah. Because one of the things about they may show you, want to show you what their favorite spot is. And that might help you to build rapport quicker. So remember that most sellers are interested in price. They don't necessarily always want to admit that. Understand that most sellers have researched you. Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's why if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you need to build one, and I can help you do that. And in most cases, the seller will start with marketing and how you find properties and get properties sold. That's one of the questions they want to know. What do you do to market? So kind of let them, go through those things. But we do want to try to stay on REAL, so you can work those things in while building rapport, since that's what they're interested in. But as I always say, sell the sizzle, not the steak. Wait until you get to the A to go into in depth about your marketing plan, and tell them, hey, I'm gonna spend a couple minutes telling you about how I market properties. Once you get to that A, right, you've taken the tour, built rapport, you've engaged them, you know where they want to move, when they want to move, why they want to move, all of that. You now want to go through and tell them about yourself and your company and your marketing strategy. The idea here is to differentiate yourself from other realtors, okay? Articulate how your market strategy is different from other agents, sharing a tactic that they haven't been shared by other agents. I use that 4-step marketing plan. If you've seen that, if you have not and you'd like me to build one for you, I can. And what it does is 4 steps. And then I say, these are the things that I do that other agents don't do. And then at the bottom, it has all the things that any self-respecting agent would do, like put it in the MLS and it goes on Zillow and all those things. Because understand, if they did interview another agent, the agent's like, I'm going to put you in the MLS. Your house is going to be on Zillow. It's going to be on Realtor.com. It's going to be on Homes.com. And they're acting like they're doing something that nobody else does, but everybody does that. So this sheet that I use and then reinforce in my conversation says, yeah, anybody does that. Just by putting it in the MLS, it's automatic. They're not doing anything extra. We all do that, and here it is. But these are the things I do that other agents don't do. And again, it's product differentiation, and that's what you want to do. Another big thing I like to teach my agents to do is create a tour video of property. It's an actual where you go through and you start with a picture outside of the neighborhood, outside the front door, and then work your way systematically room to room to room, going through and showing the house. We create those here on Wednesday. So when you get a listing, come with your pictures. You may even want to get a couple of videos where you kind of go, here and here. That's up to you. But create those videos and tell them we put video, we put this toured video, especially here in Florida, on Facebook, because a lot of our buyers aren't here. They're in cold weather states. They're a ways away. This allows them, if it's your house going up against your neighbor's house, and they can see a tour of yours, they're much more likely to be more interested in yours than one they don't know enough about. Product differentiation. Okay. Discussing pricing. We have our pricing conversation training where we really go into this, but the bottom line is to make this a math problem. You want to lay out all the comps separately on separate sheets, okay? And you show them. We've got a 400, we've got a 405, we've got a 395, all same model as your house. What's that make your house worth? Simple, 395 to 405. I think we should be aggressive because the market's picking up. It's going into spring buying season, and make it 405. We are just going into August and things usually slow down now. If you want to get this moved, we probably need to be a little bit on the lower end of that. Maybe we should do 398 or 400. And that's how you have the conversation. Close and get the listing. So now you want to make sure you have the seller's commitment. Hey, let's get this house marketed. Let's get it on the MLS today. Usually it won't be today if you're using a professional photographer, because you got to schedule that. Again, I have my listing appointment on Friday. If you just noticed me, I looked down for a second because I got a text from my seller. My photographer just finished. So it took a couple of days to get a photographer there, and that's normal. But then what's most important, get them a sign. Never say sign here. Never, all those things that we teach in the listing conversation. We're not going to go into that now because that's not what this is, where we'll teach you how to do it a little bit better. But set up the expectation of the relationship between you. Make the comfort level where it's comfortable, and set expectations that if we don't get a lot of people in to see the house, we're going to meet about that, and we're going to talk about things. It may even be about changing the price or changing how things are marketed. but let them know that they're going to be part of your strategy making. Okay. You're selling the house together as a partnership using your expertise and their expertise of the house because they've lived there for 20 years. You haven't. Again, let's talk about how your marketing may be working or not working. What is your average days on the market? Mine's really high because I had a house that was completely overpriced for a friend. But if you look at houses that I've done, where I was used my advice and, done the things and my marketing and things that whatever, I've always been ahead of the average, which was not good in like 2020, 2021, 2022, because I never got the marketing, uh, the marketing benefits from having listings. I was having listings sell in 15 minutes. So ask yourself, where are your average days on the market with your listings? Are they more than the average? Are they less than the average? Or about the same? If they're more, what aren't you doing that other agents are doing? Maybe it's as simple as you don't price as well. Maybe it's more complex in that you're not using all the tools that are given to you, open houses and doing them correctly, social media, Google, creating that video we talked about, and so many other things. On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate the impact of your marketing? You think it works or you don't? Do you have a proactive, systematic marketing approach that if a client put you on the spot and said, what are you going to do week 1? What are you going to do week 2? What are you going to do week 3? What are you going to do week 4? I guarantee you, if you asked 9 out of 10 realtors, maybe higher, maybe 19 out of 20 realtors, that question, I'm going to run an open house and I'm going to put it on Facebook, and they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. You should have a systematic plan of what you're going to do. I'm going to do just listed, just sold to everybody in my sphere of influence. It's really just listed because just listed. I am going to call my sphere of influence. I'm going to call around your neighborhood. I am going to set up. I'm going to market this in social media to people that are in cold weather states that want to move to Florida. I'm going to, and you should have this all popped together and figured out. And, the week 1, this goes, week 2, that goes, week 3. And now you sound and you will be systematically marketing their house. And by doing that, that number on the last page is going to change. On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate the frequency of your communication with sellers? As a real estate broker, which I've been since I wasn't a broker, but I've been an owner of a real estate company and hired agents since I got in this business, okay? This is my 12th year now. The biggest complaint by far, that I hear from agents, and every broker I've ever talked to completely agrees with me on this. The biggest complaint is that the agent took the listing and I never heard from him again. I need you guys to take this particular question to heart. When you get a listing, I need you to set up a seller communication plan. Okay? I will call you every other Friday at 1 o'clock. We only need about 15 minutes, and we're going to discuss everything going on, the good, the bad, the ugly. If things are going well, we'll talk about that. If things need to be tweaked, we're going to talk about that too, and they're going to be honest conversations. Say that at the end of after they sign the listing agreement. It puts you more at ease to call them when something goes wrong. It puts them more at ease to know that you're going to communicate with them and, of course, follow up and make sure you do it. All right. Getting ready for this. First of all, you need to know the home just as they do. See if they have a land survey. Get as much information on the neighborhood as you can. Again, RPR is a great tool for that. Obtain homeowners information if there's an association. Make sure they fill out a property disclosure form. Don't do that at the time of signing. You send that to them after. Create a list of all features and upgrades that will interest buyers. Declutter, have them stage the home a bit, decluttering and cleaning, removing furniture, anything that's going to make it look, whatever. One of the biggest things, Sold a house for a gal. She's now a realtor down here. I sold it for her in New Jersey. She's a realtor up in Inverness. And her house wasn't moving. It was a weird house because it was 6 bedrooms. And it was all these additions. You know, they turned the garage into a bar. The house that had 2 or 3, 4 times had additions put on. You had to walk through one bedroom to get to the other bedroom. But she had 6 kids. So anyway, long story short, one of the biggest things that helped us in the end was having her take down her kids' pictures. She had 6 kids. She had pictures all up and down on the mantle, all up and down the stairs, this, that, whatever. Somebody walks into a house and they see a family pictures and all those other types of things. They feel like they're in somebody else's house. I had another one where people had religious artifacts all over their walls. They had like pictures of Muhammad and all kinds of stuff. And my buyers were like scared. It was like after 9/11, I don't know, whatever. They were scared. They wanted to leave. You want your house you want your seller's house. When people walk in, they picture it as their house. So think of that and articulate that to your clients, and you'll have a better time of getting your showings to bring more offers. Hire a photographer, take photos and videos. Professional photographer for mine today is 85 bucks. As long as I sell the house, I mean, that's just money well spent. Get it live on the MLS and then get social. Get this all over the place. Guys, something interesting, talked about that video. Do you know that now YouTube is like the #1 place people are starting their real estate searches? And that's because of people like us that are creating videos, telling them about the towns, telling them about this, telling them about that, and putting these property videos up. You need to be a part of that. And that's what Digital Mastery on Wednesdays is for, and video creation at 11. But you also need to make sure that once you get this thing up, that you blast it every social media site that you can ever think of, and have a systematic plan to continue that blast over and over and over and over. Market the listing. Again, create an online presence. Make sure you're drawing people to your website. Here, click here to learn more. Put your phone number. It will get you more exposure. You don't want them finding it on Zillow. You want to find it on your website. Make sure a sign gets put up. I use a sign company. Again, it's very inexpensive. They hold my signs for me. And find out down here, you have to find out whether you can put a sign up. There's a lot of places that you can't. Your sign, by the way, should be customized. Yes, we have free signs if you're brand new, and that's fine. But once you get into this business, you start getting some, you need to buy some signs. And I'll help you design them. They need a QR code on them. They need your website on them. They need your phone number, your cell phone number on them. They need your picture on them, and so many other things. Notify your agent network. Let agents know, okay? I send an email to every agent in the 4 counties when I get a listing. That way they know. Schedule a broker open house. Schedule a regular open house. Tell everybody in your office. Put it on our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group just for Realty One Group Beyond Realtors. Hype it all over the place. Create flyers. If you want, create just listed postcards. Call the neighborhood. Let everybody in the neighborhood know it's for sale. Target potential buyers with social media advertising. And of course, I already said do an open house. All right. The end game, generate leads while you have a listing, right? While you sell this listing, you want to be generating leads. So call the agents in your network, right? And market the listing. Same thing. Call people. Call the neighborhood. Call potential by your sphere of influence. You never know by having these calls and this excuse to call, especially when you call around the neighborhood. Oh, really? They're selling? We were thinking about selling too. Boom, there's a listing appointment. All right. Communicate. As I said, have a set time to meet. Every 2 weeks is fine. Find out how they like to communicate, though. Now, that one call that I'm telling you, I would do that either on the phone or in person or Zoom. You can use Zoom too if you want to show graphs or anything like that. But how do they want to generally communicate? Text, phone, email. Again, put your communication timeline. 2 weeks is good. After you get the listing, send them a thank you card. Costs you nothing. It's well worth it. Always be proactive. Again, the biggest complaint as a broker that I get, agent never responded. I couldn't get in touch with my agent. You should be going out of your way. Wait, things aren't going well. Oh my God, they're gonna be mad. Oh well, you know what? Stand up. You stand up and take accountability. And it may not be your fault. It may be the fact that they just wouldn't price it right and said, if you want this listing, you're going to list it for 10,000 over asking, what you're saying. And, you made that decision that you say, hey, all right, I'll try it, which is not always a good decision, but that's a story for a different conversation. Always be professional by sending a market update of what's going on, and be prepared to have those hard conversations and make those changes. Be personal. Keep the rapport and build a friendship. While you're being personal, you're also being proactive, letting them know what you're doing and what's going on next. Yes, you want to be personal and break it down, but keep your professionalism as well. Yeah, there's a line you don't want to cross. You know what I mean? You don't want to go out after showing the house and slam beers with the seller. After the sale, if that happens, okay, we'll talk about it, but not during. And again, being prepared for anything that you need to change. Happy sellers and closed business. Yay. All right. So now you get a contract. You got it all listed. It's out there. You marketed it. Everything's going well and people are coming to see it. And now you get a contract. You need to review the contract with your client. And what you want to do is verify that the contract's correct. Okay. That the buyers have signed it. Communicate facts about the deal to all parties, your listing agent, lenders, escrow, and title. Communicate, like we said in the other one. Same thing goes here. Schedule and set up calendar reminders of all relevant deadlines. It says, the closing date's on February 28th. And that's all they think about. Well, wait a minute. What about the mortgage date? What about the home inspection date? What about, the appraisal? What about? They all need to be mapped out. So map them out. I always like to map them out and send them in an email to everybody. Here's the list of, our key dates. Okay, by February 8th, we have to have the home inspection done. By February this, we got to that, and go through all of them. Capitalize on offers. Remember, there's 3 things that can happen when you present an offer. Number 1, seller says yes. Number 2, the seller counters it. They make a counter offer. 3, they totally reject it. I never, ever recommend to a client to reject an offer. Well, Bill, what happens if you have a $400,000 listing and somebody comes in with a $283,000 offer? It happens. You get these lowball Larry, I like to call them. I say to my client, if that offer was $390, $388 instead of $288, would you counter or would you stick at $400? No, I would probably try to get down to like $395. Okay. Do a counter at $395. There is a small group, I'm not saying it's a big group, but there's a small group of people out there that will lowball like this because they don't know any better, or maybe they got a crappy realtor that doesn't know any better, just to see if there's a chance that the guy's desperate. But they still really want the house. What happens if my seller comes out at $395? It shows that he wants to stay pretty darn close to his asking price. Now, they might lowball again, but they're probably going to be a lot closer. Maybe they come up and they say, okay, $375. Remember, we were at $390 from original $400. You then have a choice. Would you go any lower or not? Because we're in the ballpark now, kind of. Tell them 292.5 final offer. Next thing you know, they end up buying it. That person that made that 282 offer, or whatever I said, ends up being a buyer. Much of the time, it's not. It's an investor looking for whatever, and they place 100 of those offers a day. But it's worth your time, especially since it's them that has to write the contract, not you. You can just send an email, my counter, or text that my client counters at, and give it every chance you can to make it go. What happens if you get multiple offers? Oh, yeah, we still have some. They're still out there, guys. You want to keep the seller on the loop on the time frame. You have to remember that on contracts, and times have changed now where they used to give you 3-4 days. I remember them being like 5 days to respond. Now most of the people are giving you like end of that business day or end of the next business day. It's like, man, I can't even get my clients. They're not local. I can't even get my clients on the phone that quick. But they're giving you a very short window to accept an offer. That's why final and bests are often put in. You know, we'll take your final and best offer by close of business Friday, whatever, you know, and they do that. But you want to make sure that you don't lose a really good offer because it expired. At the same time, understand that so you make sure you're telling your clients, we got this offer, but we've got to make a decision on this, but I know we're supposed to get another offer. What would you like to do? And communicate to make it work best for your client. Understand that you do not have to disclose to another agent that there are multiple offers. That's your client's decision. I don't know why you wouldn't, because it helps you leverage for you to get the best deal, but it is still your client's choice. Handling inspections and negotiating repairs. I'll be honest, my least favorite part, especially being I don't like it as a buyer's agent either, but as a seller's agent, I hate it. But it's part of what we do, and we have to get good at it, and we have to be professional about it, and we have to go. So always set the expectation that the inspector is going to find issues to report. It's their job. They're going to find issues. I tell them this at the point of after they've signed the listing agreement and before we've set up our continuing communication plan, just so they're aware ahead of time. And you let them know that the buyer's probably going to ask for repairs. And you explain that this is a part of the process. And I actually will do that too before we even come with the pricing too. We're going to price this knowing we might lose $5,000 because somebody asks for a credit for your 20-year-old air conditioner or whatever, whatever it is. So have that conversation, make sure they're prepared for it. Safeguard against a low appraisal. This is important for both the buyer and seller agent. So when we do this again next week with the buyers, you're going to see some of the same stuff. One of the things, if you can do it, is give your CMA, provide your CMA to the appraiser. Also, make sure that you include any sales that might have artificially depressed comps, a foreclosure, a distressed, which is a distressed property, something that's in really bad condition. There was a fire. Believe it or not, appraisers don't know the market like you do, and they may not do the research they need to do. So by providing them with how you came up with the price will go a long way in how they do their appraisal. If you have to negotiate because of low appraisals, the guys, that's just ugly. Are your sellers willing to do it? Most sellers have no choice if they really want to sell, because the appraisal is the appraisal. Yeah, you could get a second appraisal, but most of the time it's not going to be a big change, if a change at all. Can the buyers cover the difference between the loan amount and the appraisal amount? Important information. Closing. 2 weeks before closing, make sure that everything's verified. Make sure everybody has everything they need. You are an air traffic controller. Stay in touch with the mortgage person, the title person, all of them. Week of closing, schedule the final walkthrough. Make sure all the repairs are completed. Set expectations with your seller on the closing paperwork. Are you going to do? We did a closing in a garage not too long ago. You can do them anywhere. Confirm with the lender that the loan will fund on time. Those lenders are, we're on YouTube, so I'll keep it to myself. But I've had problems with lenders through the years, and every agent I know has. There are good ones and there's bad ones. Make sure you only suggest good ones and hope your clients use them. Coordinate with title and escrow companies for timelines. Remind the seller to bring their driver's license, bring the money that they need. If there's a notary involved, there's always a notary involved. So, and the title company usually bring them. And again, do the final walkthrough either that morning or the night before. And at all possible, guys, attend the closing. Be at the closing. I go to every closing. It's just, you want to do that for your clients. It's just one of those things that I don't understand. You're going to make all this money, this, that, whatever, and you want a long-term relationship so you can work these guys for referrals. Why wouldn't you go to the closing? One of the most exciting days of their lives. Also, it's a perfect time to take a picture of them. Congratulations on selling your home. Take a picture of them at the title company or wherever they are. So, all right. Well,